Throughout history, resistance movements have often been labeled as terrorism by powerful states, despite their legitimate struggles for independence. Similarly, geopolitical double standards have shaped the perception of conflicts. Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories, including the West Bank and Gaza, is widely considered illegal under international law, yet it continues with limited international accountability. At the same time, actions like Russia's invasion of Ukraine have been universally condemned as acts of aggression, while similar actions by Israel are often justified or ignored by many Western powers. Myth 1. Hamas has no right to resist Israeli occupation. Fact. Under international law, people living under occupation have the right to resist. Many argue that Hamas's actions, despite being controversial, are part of a broader struggle for Palestinian self-determination. This right to resist occupation has been recognized in other contexts, yet when applied to Palestine, it is often viewed through a different lens. Myth 2. Israel legally acquired Palestinian land. Fact. Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories, including the West Bank and Gaza, is considered illegal under international law. Numerous UN resolutions have condemned Israeli settlement expansions and military actions, but enforcement remains limited due to political alliances and Western support. Since 1948, Israel has expanded its control over Palestinian lands, displacing millions and continuing settlement expansion in violation of international law. Myth 3. Resistance movements are always labeled as terrorism. Fact. History shows that resistance movements have often been labeled as terrorism by occupying powers. Examples include British colonial rule over India, where freedom fighters like Mahatma Gandhi and Bhagat Singh were once branded as terrorists. Similarly, during the American Revolution, British authorities considered the revolutionaries terrorists, despite their fight for independence. Myth 4. Hamas is universally recognized as a terrorist organization. Fact. While countries like the United States, the European Union, and Israel classify Hamas as a terrorist organization, many nations and organizations, particularly in the Middle East, consider it a legitimate resistance movement fighting against Israeli occupation. The perception of Hamas varies widely depending on political and regional perspectives. Myth 5. Western countries oppose occupation and expansion. Fact. Western powers, including Britain, France, and the United States, have a long history of colonizing and occupying foreign lands. The British Empire invaded and occupied numerous countries across Asia and Africa, suppressing local resistance movements. Despite their past, these nations often label other struggles for independence as terrorism while justifying their own expansionist policies. Myth 6. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is the only modern example of occupation. Fact. While Russia's invasion of Ukraine has been widely condemned as an act of aggression, similar actions by Western countries have not received the same level of scrutiny. The US invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan, Britain's colonization of India, and France's control over parts of Africa are all examples of powerful nations imposing control over others. However, these cases are often framed as interventions or peacekeeping efforts rather than occupations. Myth 7. Hamas is solely focused on violence and terror. Fact. In addition to its military wing, Hamas operates as a political and social organization, providing essential services such as education, healthcare, and welfare to Palestinians in Gaza. It has also participated in elections and governance, highlighting its multifaceted role beyond armed resistance. Myth 8. Western media presents an unbiased view of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Fact. Western media is often criticized for portraying Israel as a victim while framing Palestinian resistance groups like Hamas as aggressors. Reports frequently overlook the historical context of displacement, occupation, and human rights violations faced by Palestinians. This bias contributes to an imbalanced narrative that influences global perceptions and public opinion. The debate over whether Hamas is a terrorist organization or a resistance movement depends on perspective historical context, and political interests. The selective application of the term terrorism reveals a broader pattern of geopolitical double standards, where actions are judged based on who holds power rather than consistent moral or legal principles. Recognizing these double standards is crucial to understanding the broader complexities of global conflicts and their portrayal in the media,